This is a very quick look at the Apollo-OS, which is an AROS distribution for the Vampire cards. The Vampire cards, of course, by the Apollo team are a re-implementation of the 68,000 processor family and the famous Amiga chipset. So it supports all the custom chips and is essentially a modern Amiga. AROS is a project to re-implement the Amiga operating system. The idea being to create an open source and free version of the Amiga operating system that can run on multiple hardware platforms, including the original one. It's extremely difficult to re-implement an operating system, as we can see from efforts like Haiku and the project to re-implement Windows, ReactOS. It's a very difficult thing to do, and this project has been running, I think, for decades. AROS and Apollo-OS are able to run Amiga binary programs without modification. It's binary compatible. It can play, as we just saw, a music clip, or it can run Reaver and play a video.
Spinning and spinning, beginning to lose the ground. It's like there's a party inside me on its way.
Having an open source operating system that's freely available and isn't encumbered by all kinds of strange legal disputes would really revive the Amiga platform. So it's something that we all really want, and it's something that a lot of people have spent a great deal of their personal time and effort trying to achieve. But we're certainly not there yet. At the moment, this is usable as a launcher, I think, so you can launch various applications, but it's not a reliable system. This is a release candidate, of course, but the danger is that this is always going to be a release candidate. When you find yourself running pre-beta software on a completely new implementation of hardware, the two things combine for a pretty unreliable experience. So you can certainly launch games, launch music, listen to music, watch videos, play games, and if your real interest, and I think a lot of people's is in just having a decent game launcher, then this is really fine. But where it falls apart is this workbench experience and just general reliability. I just want to say again that I really respect the work that the developers of AROS did over the years, and some of them are still doing, and really respect the work of the Apollo team in creating the Apollo-OS distribution. It just is a staggeringly huge amount of work that they're endeavouring to do, and I don't know how long it's going to take before it's, in a state that I would consider usable. And at the moment, I don't think it, for me at least, given the choice that we have at the moment, even believing in open source operating systems as the future and so on, I really wouldn't use this. Here I'm just compiling and running some projects using Amiga Quick Basic, which is a new open source basic for the entire Amiga platform, targeting 68K systems, really targeting the base Amiga, but obviously it runs software massively faster on the Vampire cards because they accelerate all Amiga programs. However, it's not as good here as it is on other versions of the operating system. Personally, I found simple tasks like partitioning the flash card extremely difficult, verging on the impossible on this version of the operating system, which are incredibly simple on Amiga OS. I mean, more worryingly, I've encountered serious stability issues which have corrupted the flash card. And yes, I have an image of the flash card and I can start again, but I just simply wouldn't trust this operating system with any data of any value. It's simply not worth taking the risk. The Amiga operating system is famously not the most stable operating system in the world as it is, and kind of running a pre-release beta early development version of that system, with all of that system's flaws that are inherent in it, with the multitasking and the lack of memory protection, is really just asking for trouble. Now I think, in decades to come, and I don't know how long that's going to be, this could be a replacement system for Amigas, but right now I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. I would really regard this as a game launcher, and I would really treat it as almost a read-only drive that I have a copy of on a PC or Mac somewhere, and that I don't want to change, and that I don't want to store any data on. Obviously, if this is ever going to move forward, it does need feedback from the community, and not just criticism, but actual, issues being reported and detailed and investigated by members of the community. So running it's a good thing, but I would run it maybe as, in a dual boot type configuration as a test system and as a game launcher. And if I was doing anything that I felt was valuable in my own time or with my own data, I would put that on something else. I mean, yes, always back things up, but there are limits to the risks you should take. Right now, I feel very much like, in between running apps, you should always reboot the system, get back into some sort of solid state, because it just does very varied and very bizarre things, depending on, I guess, some random collection of bugs that it's picking up from the various apps that are being run on it. So it's extremely inconsistent and extremely unreliable. This is not just true of this latest release candidate, but of the previous ones as well. In my experience, it took me about 15 attempts to create a partition on this flash drive, and I'm not sure that it's working that well now. And obviously, applications like this are not meant to behave like this, and with the Amiga's lack of memory protection, then applications that are crashing are going to just really mess everything else up. And a little bit longer, the whole thing will crash, or lock up, or freeze, or corrupt the hard drive, and you're back to nowhere again. I know it's extremely easy to be a critic, and extremely hard to write an operating system and create a new distribution of an operating system. So I fully support the team that are doing this. Just don't use this for anything you care about. Be careful with it, and you should be okay. If you actually enjoy hunting bugs, and people do, it's a thing people do, then you'll love this. There's an awful lot of stuff to catch.